Hello there, namaste. So I just finished reading the book, He Who Fights with Monsters, Book 11, and I actually went through this one twice before making this review. Alright, this book felt off to me, and there's a myriad of reasons, but primarily, this book feels like it's primarily a placeholder. It feels like the writer realized he put himself against a wall, because in the last few books, he was mentioning how, oh, you've got to do this, it'll be several years before the story continues, that it just felt like a placeholder. A lot of the stuff, it's like, they spend they split the book into two parts. The first part of the book is, I forgot how many chapters, but it spends it all in the transformation zone, and it feels rushed, but at the same time it feels like there isn't enough there. I don't know how to describe it, but the thing is, it's there because it's meant to fast forward everything. He's finding his soul forge, and as soon as that happens, he gets to transcend into an astral king, and I'm okay with it, but I kinda wish this whole thing was done as the second part, were it just snippets. Because when you go through it, because I went through it and I'm like, okay, this feels off. Why does it feel off? I go through it again and I'm like, oh, okay, because Gary took on divine power and he's literally gonna die because of it. So you think about it just like, okay, so it's gonna be a very heartfelt thing. But then everyone starts crying. Everyone starts getting puffy eyes. And what did they mention in book 6? Or was it book 5? Where he cried for the people of Makassar, was it? Whatever, he had to fake his tears because they're not real. This is the one issue. It's like, I understand when you're building a world, you end up regretting saying things because having a character cry is far more impactful than having all your friends and family around who are all essence users who can't cry are supposed to be in a sad situation, but it's not sad because nobody can cry. So that felt off for me because it's just like, you should have just fast forward through all this. This whole thing should have been done as a placeholder for the next book, which is the real continuation. Because here it was just like, okay, everything's happening so fast, but nothing's happening at all. And then it gets to the second part, which is all like a span of like 10 years, showing incidents that are happening with his team, incidents that are happening on Earth, incidents that are happening with each individual person. And it's just like, yeah, spend a chapter with each character. You could have done that in the transformation zone. You didn't have to flood it out this way. But because it just felt like there was too much in it, but at the same time, not enough. And that's my biggest issue with this book, because it's like, I still enjoy the story. I just wasn't a fan about how this one was executed because, well, it felt like it didn't really hold a candle to the work that came previously. Sure, he's not as whiny as he used to be, and that's one thing I really didn't like about the main character, Jason. It's like he'd always be crying and crying and crying and whining about his place in the world. I liked the fact that he had dark powers. I liked the fact that he struggled with who he was, but the fact that he kept whining about it is the part I kept. It's like, you're doing something that needs to be done. You don't need to second guess yourself. But then again, everyone else has to call it out for him. Everyone else has to pull him back. But it's like one of those, I guess, coming of age stories where you're trying to find yourself in the world. And he's finding himself to be immortal, to live forever. But that's the thing, it's just like, I kind of felt like they would do something like this. The writer would do something like this when I was going through, book 9, I think? Because Dawn leaves the planet and telling him, oh, it'll be 10 years before the thing occurs, but you're not supposed to stop it. Let it happen. So, whatever's gonna happen, whatever was mentioned then, is finally gonna take place. So that was I think it was book 8 that happened. Because then there's book 9, book 10, book 11, all of which were just pieces to fast forward time. It makes sense that he went to go find his soul forge, but then this was just such a slow burn. If anything, this could have been added on to the last book. Just make the whole transformation zone go by more quickly. Skip the fact that everyone's cracked up, that's for laughing, right? Everyone's tearing up, everyone's brokenhearted about Gary because he made his ultimate decision. You can skip that because it just felt off after going through it and knowing that these people aren't human. They don't have hearts, they don't have tear ducts, they're just flesh blobs. But everyone's breaking out crying. It's just like, ugh. It doesn't feel right with the characters, with the world you have built. But it's understandable because you're trying to get an emotional reaction from everyone. It just didn't feel right with how the world has been introduced. But I do like how it's progressing, other than the fact that this felt like it should have just been done as a quick small little part segment of the second part. It shouldn't have been an entire first part because it just didn't feel like anything really happened. He gets in the transformation zone and then he needs to take it over, and in the end he makes friends, they take out the undead leaders like almost immediately. And then it becomes just this running gag of him making jokes as they take over the transformation zone. And then they get to the very end where he decides to sit down and talk with the tree and make a deal with the tree. And it's just like, really? You couldn't have done all of this as an addendum to the second part? As like, oh, this is just going to be a small little fill piece. No, they made it, they dragged it on. And I think that's the biggest issue for me. It's just like so much is going on, but so little is happening. You get all the meat of the story in the second part because they're skipping years. You have Jason challenging all the whatever they're called, the ultimate beings. I forgot what they're called. You have the team, his team, which he basically has never been a part of, all going to progressing to hit gold rank. You have Rufus going to Earth to basically teach Jason's niece. So yeah, it's just, I still enjoy this series. I still do. I just really feel like this book didn't belong as a full narrative, especially the first part. I kind of feel where the author's coming from. The way he finished the last book was exciting. It's intriguing. But when you actually get to this part of the book, you're just like, you could have easily cut out a ton of that and added it to the last book, and then had the first part of the next book be the transition, the fast forwarding period, all of that. And it would have been much more entertaining, because right now I just feel like I've wasted my time because I'm going through it and I'm like, oh, okay, this is one of those OVA, right? An anime OVA, like one of those placeholder episodes that's there to be like, all right, this is all going on. Just wait another year till the actual season comes out. This will just treat you over for now, or 3 years given anime. But yeah, I do still enjoy this series. I just don't care for this book. It kind of reminds me of 6, which was like a part of 5. Like it was literally a book that was cut. The last half was cut out. The conclusion was cut out and put in its own book. That's what this feels like to me, because it just doesn't flow naturally. And the problem is, even if you go back and read 10 and then read 11, the pacing slows down because there's just so much nonsense in 11, which should just be rushed through, like it was in part 2 of book 11. Yeah, but I still enjoy this series. I still am going to check out 12 because I'm still interested in where it's going. I just hope it doesn't continue this route, because if it does, I'm going to end up stopping the series the way I stopped Awaken Online. It just... Or was it Ascend Online? Whatever it was. Awaken Online, I think it was. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles!